Okay guys, it's RWA Iron aka Robin, and the two things we're going to be talking on this video today is one is the Breath of the Wild speculation with the second installment in the Breath of the Wild series, and then we have the channel update and maybe where I'm going to go in the future. I'm just expanding on that. So in terms of the channel update, I'm looking at basically if I want to move into reviews, if I want to carry on with the game videos that I'm doing at the moment, or if I want to move into something else, a different genre, things like that. So it'd be nice to see some comments from you guys and what you think about the channel progressing forward. There's a situation where I was going through videos and I was uploading things like Luigi's Mansion 3, there was the Link's Awakening and Fire Emblem. I did a schedule where every couple of days within the week, so say Monday, Wednesday and Friday, I had the weekend to kind of get my content in and upload it throughout the week, and I was doing it on a schedule, bringing it out, and there was a situation where it was kind of getting a bit, I wouldn't say boring, but it was getting less fun. You know, games are all about enjoying playing them, being able to enjoy the content that they give you, and the content creators, they basically make money off that kind of entertainment value. And being able to upload the videos to YouTube was a bit of a struggle every now and again, because it felt like I was just kind of grinding out Luigi's Mansion 3 rather than doing it at my own pace. So I just wanted to think of what you guys thought about going forward and whether I should just continue this channel, because that's where I was kind of going into, whether I wanted to continue the channel, if I wanted to mold it and change it, if I wanted to make a new channel and move over the reviews to there and keep the gameplay here. So I'd like to know you guys' ideas on that, and yeah, we'll move on to Breath of the Wild 2 speculation. So I did see a news article today, and this is the main reason for the video, because I was actually eager to kind of delve into things like this and see what you guys think. So it'd be nice to see if you like this kind of video, just to like and maybe put comments down below just to see what you guys think moving forward. Are you looking to get Breath of the Wild 2, or are you just kind of skimming over that until maybe later on, or just going into the next console generation? So going into it, things like carrying over save files were talked into the news article, and that's the question with Breath of the Wild 2. Is it going to be a whole new game, or is it going to be a kind of reincarnation of the first Breath of the Wild? Everything's going to feel familiar, everything's going to feel the same, you're going to have the shrines, you're going to have the Croxies, or if everything's going to be brand new. So in terms of Breath of the Wild, at the end of that, Zelda talks about rebuilding the buildings and the structures and the towns and making things feel alive again, and that's what they could integrate within this game.
Although Ganon is gone for now, there is still so much more for us to do, and so many painful memories that we must bear. I believe in my heart that if all of us work together, we can restore Hyrule to its former glory. Perhaps even beyond, but it all must start with us.
So they could make things new to newer players and make things feel nostalgic to the older players from the Breath of the Wild for the first game. So if they brought over the save files, you could have things like your stamina or your heart meters maybe that you got from the first game. So when you complete the shrines, you got the stamina vessel, the heart vessel. Maybe not in so much in the terms of the hearts, because it'd be nice to go fresh and carry on from there. But in terms of the stamina vessels, that would make things a lot less grindy in terms of having to go through the shrines, get the stamina vessels, and then you'd be able to run everywhere rather than feeling tired every time you take a couple of steps. There was the house in the Tenor Village that Link bought as well, so you ended up getting so much wood and so much materials, and then money wise you put towards that and you ended up getting a house. Being able to bring that over into a newer game, it'd be nice to have your decorations, your lighting that you carried on from that game. You had the plaques that you could put your equipment on just to show off in your house and things like that. It'd be nice to bring that across just as a kind of personal touch. And the DLC, I'm not sure if it was a DLC or not, but you ended up getting a photo of the champions from the what was it now, the Champions Ballad. it'd just be nice to have a little personal touch that you could bring over from the previous game, to say you had your previous save file brought over to this new Breath of the Wild game. So in terms of DLC as well, carrying on with that point, you had the motorbike. It'd be nice to bring that into the Breath of the Wild 2 game as well. Maybe you'd have the option to do it later on down the line, so you could still use the horses, and when you got to a certain point in that game you could then bring in your DLC. So you had your warps, so rather than having to warp to certain shrines, you could then place a kind of pedestal and you could actually walk back to that save point. It'd be nice to actually have that integrated as well. And I think the main reason which would be good to bring over the save files would be your true Master Sword and your Hylian Shield. Just having that extra damage and just being able to have that more durable shield would be just the icing on the cake with things in terms of that. So we had the upgraded gear as well. So in the first Breath of the Wild you had the Great Fairies and you was able to get equipment, go throughout the wild, gather the equipment, bring it to the Great Fairy, use some of the money, upgrade your gear, right? So does that all go away in Breath of the Wild 2 and you have to start with new gear and things like that? And you know, again, for an older player it'd be nice to bring that in, and then all that time spent doesn't go to waste. And as a new player it would then be nice to have that same gear that previous players had, because it feel new to them, and being able to upgrade it that way. Towns and rebuilding structures as well. So we had a side quest where you had Tarry Town and you was able to build Tarry Town from the ground up. It started off as a couple of rocks, and then you got the Gorons and the humans to kind of work over there and build the structures and have people brought over. So you had different NPCs in the world that you could bring over, and then you could buy things like your armor sets. You could then get, I think it was the jewels and the rubies and stones that was quite rare. You could actually buy them. If the Hylian Shield broke, you could actually find a guy that you could rebuy it from, and it just kind of made it as a base of operations that you could bring into the new game. So that would be nice to see. Maybe not food items and valuables like that, but things like the monster items to be able to upgrade gear maybe. So if you had a second kind of wave of gear that you couldn't upgrade in the first one, that'd be nice to bring. Things like amiibos, so you had your Twilight Princess, your Ocarina of Time gear. I think there was the Fierce Deity armor that I'd love to see brought back into that as well. So maybe the amiibo functionality they could keep that the same. And the medals. So when you was going through the wild in Breath of the Wild, the first one, it is weird talking about the 1 and 2, but yeah, the first Breath of the Wild, you could actually kill all the mini bosses in the map area, and basically if you was able to defeat all the stone taluses, well, you had different ones. You had Frost Talus and I think there was like a Flame Talus kind of thing, but if you defeated all of them you get a medal, but it didn't actually do anything. It would be nice to be able to bring that over from the previous save file and then expand upon things like that. And more mini bosses, as we've heard through the job listings for Breath of the Wild 2, that's going to be dungeons as well. It'd be nice to bring over maybe familiar kind of bosses that haven't been expanded upon. So we had like Dark Link and Ocarina of Time. It's a bit of a tricky situation for certain people. Some of them didn't like the Dark Link fight, and personally I quite enjoyed it. But it's what made it tedious. Maybe they expand upon making him more sentient and have his own personality, rather than him just kind of mirroring your moves, and you had to kind of work around that. So from my opinion, I'd say to start with that, and then as you progressed and met him in different dungeons, he was able to progress on his intelligence and how he'd be able to mirror your moves, but then change his personality and change the type of way he's fighting. Maybe use different items and equipment and things like that to try and, you know, capitalize on that fight. And maybe you have, I think it was Volvagia in Ocarina of Time, and there was like Twin Rover and things like that. It'd be nice to kind of get different enemies or bosses that had different themes, so forest, ice, water, fire, things like that. And yeah, so I would like to know your guys' opinion on what you'd like to see in Breath of the Wild 2. And we could go from there. I mean, at the moment it's just pure speculation until the game actually comes out. But yeah, carrying over save files, what do you guys think? Like, comment or subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.